And yeah, just looking forward to today's
Talk
session.
talk to us about yesterday. What did you overcome?
Oh my gosh. Hey, yani, negotiating with the alarm is real. So I woke up like five,
You've
10 minutes
gone or
before my,
go on, go
can you
on.
hear me? I woke up about 10
Yes.
minutes before my alarm. And I thought, okay, it's not yet gone off, so let me just go back to bed. So alarm went off, and I'm like, switched it off. Okay, I'm going to wake up in the next 5 minutes. I found myself waking up at 5:35. So that's a lesson learned, and we are not doing that ever again. And I'm intentional about that. So I thought I could conquer the alarm because I thought I had automated, but yeah. So it still takes quite a lot of discipline and yeah, that kind of negotiation for me, I just found out does not work. So I don't intend to do that moving on. We'll negotiate later
Karibu,
after the sessions. Yeah.
Karibu Sana. Welcome, Florence. Welcome, Elsie. Welcome, Beatrice. And now, today's surprise, our coach and heart doctor, Dr. Job Mogire. Welcome. Take it up.
Good morning, everyone. I am very excited to be here. As you can tell, I'm very excited to be here. I'm having an amazing week. It hasn't happened, but it's already resolved. It's an amazing week. It's not going to be an amazing week. It is resolved, done. It is an amazing week. And I came in specifically because there is a piece that we haven't revisited with the family here that I think it's extremely important. And I want you to write those 3 words down. They are not my words, they are Tony Robbins' words. And those words are strategy, story, and state. Strategy, story, and state. Strategy, story, and state. Strategy, story, and state. Which of these ones probably influenced your day-to-day more than the other? Is it your strategy? Is it your story? Is it your state? I want you to circle those 3 words together wherever you wrote them and write this statement right next to them. Nothing moves without emotion. Nothing moves without emotion. Nicole, when you set your alarm, your emotion is clear. But the person setting the alarm is different from the person who will wake up to the alarm. The person setting up the alarm is awake, they are sober. The one waking up to the alarm is under anesthesia. They are impaired. Within the first 3 minutes of waking up, you can't allow yourself to drive yourself in a car. You have to wait until you wake up. So that person has no room to make decisions. That's why you automate. You automate because the person setting the alarm is awake. The person who is responding to the alarm is caught in between 2 worlds. They have no decision-making capacity. You will never allow them to buy something for you. You will never allow them to make any major decisions for you. So you set the alarm so that the addict that is waking up in the morning does not do what addicts do. Addicts go back to habit. They go back to addiction. The strongest muscle in the human body in our generation is the scrolling muscle. The second one is the snoozing muscle. It's very effective. That is called psychological anatomy. So let's talk about those 3: strategy, story, and state. Which of these shapes you the most, colors your day the most, controls your decisions the most? Which of these? Nicole, thank you for giving us an example. You set an alarm and then you brought the drunk with sleep side of you to negotiate with the alarm. Right? You will never send that person into a business deal. Never. You will never send that person into a business deal, because they will get to the business deal, they're given the first offer, and they're like, okay, that's okay, let me sign, and then they fall asleep. Because that's what happened. A very poor negotiation, because they are negotiating with a strategy that meets the current needs. Therefore, strategy will never be the most powerful thing in your life, except we've been conditioned to believe that strategy is the most important thing, such that when you come across a problem, what is your first response? Let me think about it. Let me find information. When I used to find myself all the time, I'm seated with my coach, I'm like, thank you for this question, I need to think about it. It's like, you don't need to think about it. The truth, you need to take the action now, you have it. The thinking is for what you will do next. For today, if this was a life and death situation, you have to make a decision. You make a decision with what you have now. So strategy will never be the most important, the most influential. So that leaves us with two. It leaves us with two. So is it story or is it state? Between story and state, which of the two do you believe is most likely to have a stronger, or the strongest of the two, influence on your life? Think about it. Is it story? Is it state? Is it your story? Is it your state? You feel your story to the extent, the color of the story depends on the intensity of the state. It is time for me to wake up because I have an appointment today, is colored by the state you are in. If you are in a high state, that story sells. If you're in a low state, you're like, the appointment is at 10. Why am I waking up now? I can wait another 30 minutes. Think about it. Story, state, strategy. Strategy is the weakest. You adjust your strategy to still meet your goals in the face of the obstacles, because the goals are about the story, but the strategy responds to the present moment. That is a problem with strategy. That strategy has to be malleable. By its nature, strategy has to be malleable. Strategy has to respond to the environment. It has to adjust. It has to be adaptable. That is the nature of strategy. If your strategy is fixed, that is not a strategy. That's a fixed mindset. In other words, you are not going to make progress if you come across a situation you didn't prepare for. And that's how control keeps us stuck. Because control requires that we pick a strategy and we show up, and the environment better adjust to accommodate my strategy. If my strategy is to get to Upper Hill and I come there at 8 a.m. and there's traffic jam, this traffic jam better get out of my way. Strategy has to be adaptable. If it's not adaptable, it's not a strategy. It's a fixed mindset. Your story depends on what you feel like. Sometimes you feel strong. Sometimes you don't feel as strong. It's the same story. The meaning gets adjusted. When you signed up for Return 90, you knew that you were going to complete all assignments. In fact, you signed a commitment. Complete all assignments, show up on video, and support all the other people. But that doesn't always, the story that you sold yourself at that point was very convincing. The story hasn't changed, but your state fluctuates. When your state fluctuates, your story also follows. So your state is the most powerful. There's nothing else comes close. And that is why nothing moves without emotion. Nothing moves without emotion. Write it like this: emotion or state is physiology. Your state is your physiology. So think about your car. Your car will not move without gas. So what's the state of the car? Is it full tank or empty tank? If it's empty tank, you're trying, it doesn't matter how you want to go to a wedding. That is the story you're telling yourself. If the tank is empty, you're not going anywhere. What is the state of your car? Is it full tank? Is it a quarter tank and you are trying to go to Nakuru? If you're going to go to Nakuru, you need to change the state of the car. In other words, you need to make it full tank. Then maybe you have a chance of getting there. State is physiology. Story is meaning. Story is meaning. When it comes story, you are either in two of the states. Either you are expanding or constricting. In that moment when you decide to take the action, you are expanding. In the moment when you decide to delay the action, you are constricting. There is no staying steady when it comes to your story. It's either you are growing or you're shrinking. Either you're progressing or you're stepping back. It's like a pendulum. And the goal is to get to a range that keeps you moving more towards growth than moving backwards. And strategy is about action. Strategy is about action. Your action can be either of two. It can be frantic or it can be in flow. You can take frantic action where you expend a lot of energy, but you're actually creating friction even from the energy itself, or you are in flow. The biggest thief of emotional energy is resistance. Resistance is why we drift. When we draw energy from our story or from our strategy, we get motivation, which is a bump in energy, and suddenly we are up there, except that's like fireworks. It burns bright, really, really bright, and it gives you the energy you need to start, but it's putting you in state, but it's putting you in temporary state. That's the problem. So the question is, how can you get to an elevated state consistently? If you rely on your story, it will fluctuate. A couple of weeks ago, couple of days maybe ago, I gave you the challenge that I've been giving myself every day, asking myself the question. And I asked myself that question twice today. Job, are you man enough? And then adding the decision I'm struggling with. Are you man enough to? Are you man enough to? That relies on story. I'm tapping into the power of story. And in that moment, if I am able to activate sufficient emotion, it raises my state, but it doesn't last. It does not last. And that is the trap. The most powerful driver of the quality of your year, the quality of your weeks, your day, your meetings, your work, is your state. Your story is extremely powerful, but your story tends to be colored by your state. Your strategy is extremely powerful, except your strategy gets colored by your state. So today I'm going to give you your daily reset. This is your daily reset. Write it down, then you'll adapt it to yourself. Your daily reset is, my focus is regulated execution. Regulated execution. In other words, you will choose your state. You are not relying on frantic energy or on motivation. You regulate the state. That connects with the resolution. You decide what your state is going to be. You are regulated. And as I wrap this up, you will see why. Your intention is to convert friction into flow. Your intention is to convert friction into flow. Please add this statement that friction is not optional. Friction is not optional. Friction is not optional. Struggle is. You will face friction. If you don't face friction, you will slide. If you're driving a car and it doesn't have friction on the road, you are in danger. If you're trying to open a door and the door doesn't have friction, it's not going to open, it's going to go all the way. If you're walking and your joints don't have friction, they are going to go all the way, they will stop nowhere. Friction is not optional. Resistance is not optional. Discomfort is not optional. Being triggered by life is not optional. It's going to happen. Am I man enough to choose my execution, to regulate my execution? In the face of friction, in the face of being triggered, release. I'm releasing, fighting what I feel. I'm releasing, fighting what I feel. You feel uncomfortable, you start fighting it. You feel distracted, you start fighting it. Fighting state instead of changing the state. What you feel is just an indicator of the state you are in. Between story, strategy, and state, state is the most important thing. The most important thing needs to be honored, not to be fought against. You recognize if you're uncomfortable, if you're stressed, you recognize the state and find the pathway to an elevated state. If you are tired, you need rest. If you're distracted, you need stillness so that you can focus. Finding your pathway back to state without fighting what you feel. What are you claiming today? You're claiming emotional sovereignty. Emotional sovereignty. They can decide what happens outside here. They can even decide how much noise I hear around me, but what happens in here has to be someone's responsibility. Emotional sovereignty. In other words, committing to deciding that what I'm going to feel is my choice. You will fall many times. You will fall so many times. Right? You will fall so many times because your borders are porous. But when you fall, you remember you don't fight what you feel when you fall. You find your pathway to a higher state. What are you permitting yourself? You're permitting yourself to pause before you react. Pause before you react. Regulated execution. Nothing moves without emotion. Nothing moves without emotion. Write a number down on a scale of 1 to 10 when it comes to emotional sovereignty. If you are to rate yourself, if you are to score yourself today, and don't you score yourself lower because of what you feel right now. Don't score yourself higher because you're at daily reset. We are killing this week. Find the truth. When it comes to emotional sovereignty, when it comes to the ability to choose what your emotional response is going to be, regardless of what happens, regardless of what they say, what they do, what comes your way, what is your emotional sovereignty? And today I don't want you to go to 10. regardless of where you are, by the end of today, if it's going to be progress, not perfection, progress, where would you want it to be by the end of today? So that as you go out today, your intention is emotional sovereignty. That is your intention. That's your core. Emotional sovereignty. You claim it so that it becomes your intention, because if you have emotional sovereignty, then you can convert friction into flow. Because friction will come. You convert friction into flow. If you do it today, you do it tomorrow. You do it on Wednesday, you do it on Thursday. If you do it for 30 days, your state must change. Absolutely. Do your breath work consistently even when you are not here. Hum, don't sing. As long as we are continuing, especially in Return 90, stop singing, just hum. That sound, it may not feel like anything is happening. Put your favorite music and don't sing out loud, just hum. And try hum as deeply as possible. And then number 3, find opportunities when you are alone, or maybe when you're showering, find opportunities to actually laugh continuously. Like just laugh continuously. This is medicine. It's in fact for laughter, it's very easy, because the Daily Digest uses laughter. Laughter is the best medicine. That was their article series for a long time, until that became almost a proverb. Laughter is the best medicine. Breath, hum, and laughter, and of course movement. Everything falls down to the level of regulation you have. It doesn't matter how intelligent you are, how gifted you are, if you are dysregulated. When you are dysregulated, everything falls apart. Your emotions fall apart, your energy falls apart, your sleep falls apart, your appetite falls apart, your IQ falls a couple of points when you are dysregulated. Today, your focus is regulated execution. Your intention is to convert friction into flow. You are releasing the need to fight what you feel. You will claim emotional sovereignty. This whole morning has been about emotional sovereignty. You permit yourself to pause before you react. I teach a framework called DODI, where one of the D's is deadline. When it comes to reacting, there's no deadline. That is one place where I allow you, I allow myself, I allow all of us, let's commit to procrastinating the reaction. If you can procrastinate the reaction for 5 minutes, sometimes it makes all the difference. Sometimes it makes all the difference. I'm very excited that I was able to find an opening tonight to come in and join with you during the daily reset. And I hope that this plants a seed. Please remember, nothing moves without emotion. Nothing moves without, say it to yourself, nothing moves. Nothing in my life moves. Nothing in my work, nothing in my family, nothing moves without emotion. When you find yourself shrinking, you are shrinking because of emotion. When you find yourself procrastinating, emotion. When you find yourself giving excuses instead of evidence, emotion. Now, the catch is that emotion is the energy of state. Your state expresses itself through emotion. But if emotion stops you, then you have lost the access, you've lost the power to decide what the state is going to be. And that is why you stop fighting what you feel. You use it as a signal to read what the state is doing, because the goal is to achieve emotional sovereignty. The goal is to restate your power to decide what the state is, because the state is more powerful than the story. The state is more powerful than the strategy. The state shapes everything. The state shapes everything because the state's expression is emotion. And emotion is the energy. Emotion is energy in motion. And you only have three resources: time, energy, and attention. If you have time, you have no energy, it doesn't mean anything. If you have time, you have energy, but you cannot focus because your state is fractured, it means nothing. They are connected: time, energy, attention. But energy and attention are only expressed in terms of their quality by the state you are in, because the state trumps everything. The state rules everything. Nothing moves without emotion. This year in my life, nothing moves without emotion. Breath, hum, laughter. I will tell you, I drove here, it's about 17 minutes from where I work. And I just laughed the entire journey. Music is playing in the background. I'm just laughing. It's not because there is anything going on. I'm laughing because I know what it does. What am I fighting for? My state. If I can protect my state, my story will take care of itself. My strategy will take care of itself. And this is the point where I hand over back to Gladys. And I wish everyone a beautiful, powerful day of emotional sovereignty. Back to Gladys.
Wow, wow. Let's appreciate Doc. Please put your comments on the chat. How was the session today? How was the session today? We want to see what's the session today. Okay, I'm waiting to read. We have 2 minutes. Amazing, blanket transformation of faith. Powerful, Nicole. It was impactful and a blessing. Thank you, Esther.